Hello you plonkers and welcome back today to another video on the Drewzy channel. The vids are starting to roll, Jesse. And
nice.
The season is within touching distance. I'm getting very excited. Today we are filming every AFL team's player to break out in 2021. I did this video last year, Jesse, and it banged. So today we're going to recreate that video and we're going to try call some players who are going to break into their 22s and be some of the more important players in their squad. So we've got a player for every team. Without any further ado, let's get into the video. Jesse, start us off, mate. Who have you got?
The first player we're going to nominate is Adelaide's Elliot Himmelberg, brother of Harry. I think he is, right? Yeah.
I hope so.
No, he is.
That'd be a pretty weird last name to share with someone. You're called Himmelberg too, eh?
Himmelberg was drafted back in the 2016 draft at pick number 51. He's only played 19 games, but with the Crows kind of going through a little rebuild at the moment, there's an opportunity for him to sort of take his game to the next level. They don't have a whole heap of young talent, and as we saw at the end of last year, they won their last 3 games, and he kicked 4 goals, and you could really start to see the fruits of his development.
Mangoes.
He's 198 centimetres, 96 kilos, so he's a bigger boy. They take a little bit longer to develop. He could be an important part of Adelaide's team this year, should everything fall his way.
For Brisbane, I've gone with Cam Rayner. Now, everyone knows who Cam Rayner is. First pick a couple years ago. What draft was it, like 2017?
I think so, 17, yeah.
And now, as he isn't as good as Brayshaw and Cherry in that draft, you know, he's got to live up to the expectations. He's got a lot of potential, this kid, and he's played already, I think, 63 games. He's only like 21 years old. So obviously, still lots of room to grow. As Brisbane mature as a list, they're going to need some of their younger players to step up. And Cam Rayner playing 60 games already as a 21-year-old, you know, he's going to be one of those players that will have to step up. And I think he will shine in 2021.
For the Blues, we're going to nominate Will Setterfield, who's entering his 4th season. Did his ACL in his first year when he joined the Giants as pick number 5. So he's kind of been a slower burn development. Blues fans watching this might think, gee, Setterfield was actually pretty good in 2020, but we actually nominate him to take his game to the next level. He's a very big-bodied midfield sort of utility guy. I think he's about 194 centimetres off the top of my head, so a lot of upside there. If he can stay on the track, I think he will emerge as one of the most important players at Carlton this year.
He might be able to set the field. Out.
Who's next?
Come on. Who's next, you ask? It's the Collingwood Magpies, and we've gone with Isaac Quainer. So Quainer's season was cut short last year. He got his calf sliced. It's a jiu-jitsu submission, but also it's when someone puts their studs down the back of your calf and it slices it.
Yikes.
So he's 21 and he had 5 games where he had 15 plus disposals. Very quick, very athletic off that half back line. And with so many departing important players in Collingwood's list last year, they'll need some young players to step up and take on a bigger role. I think Isaac Quainer is one of those players. Look out for him in 2021.
Next up for the Essendon Bombers, we've got their new recruit, Jai Caldwell, who's just crossed over from the GWS Giants, probably as a salary cap dump on the chest of Essendon, as we've said in the past. I think he earned something like over $500,000 a year and he's only played 11 games or something. But nonetheless, former first-round draft pick for the Giants. Very good sort of explosive inside mid talent. And Essendon, obviously, having lost a couple of players, needed to get some talent injected into their list at the end of last year.
Not the first time they've had something injected into their list, am I right? Lads.
With some extended game time, I can really see Caldwell establishing himself in that Essendon midfield this year. And gee, it does look like Essendon Caldwell.
I was going to say he's the second most entertaining cool world.
Oh, that's so much worse than what I said.
But yeah, as a midfielder, he's going to find it hard to crack that team in the middle with, you know, Andy McGrath and Zach Merritt. Who else have they got in there? Bloody
Dylan Shield.
Dylan Shield. That was the obvious one that I was missing. So he might play a bit forward mid, take a bit of the load off the shoulders. No, I'm not talking about that. Sticky, icky. Nonetheless, Jai Caldwell should be seeing more games this year and could be a breakout start. For Fremantle, I've gone with Brennan Cox. So Brennan Cox was a player who had to step up in 2020 with injuries to Joel Hamling and Alex Pearce. Early in his career, he played a lot of forward. Was an okay forward in a shit Freo side. But he's gone to the back where we drafted him as a defender, and he's linked up really well with Luke Ryan and Griffin Logue. Can play really well on the halfback or fullback. Great intercept mark and very good distribution kick, switch kick from the back half. So, you know, keep an eye on Brennan Cox. I think he'll be one of the more key defenders in the Dockers side moving forward.
Next up, we have a talent from Western Australia, Jordan Clark from Claremont, who's been at the Geelong Footy Club for a couple of years now. Drafted in the first round and was talked up as one of the more exciting sort of talents to come out of that draft. Had a fairly good start to his career, but he's been cut subsequently as Geelong's really been in the thick of that premiership race, obviously giving a lot of games to a very strong backline that's very experienced as well. So he's kind of been forced out. They've recruited some more experienced players, so it might make it harder for Clark to get a game, but I think they should persevere with him. If he does get a regular start, I think he will establish himself as well and truly best 22 by the end of the season.
Now, Gold Coast. This is an absolute gimme. It's an easy one. We've gone with Matt Rowell. He's only played 5 games in the AFL, but he's got a minimum of 19 disposals in each of those games. Racked up how many Brownlow votes in those 5 games? A fair bloody few. The Ginger Ninja, as they call him on the Gold Coast. No one calls him that.
No one calls him that.
But he's spent his whole of the last season in the coaching box and on the bench, learning from the coaching staff. So, he's not going to come back and find it hard to wiggle himself into the side at all. The first pick. Very high expectations, and I think everyone expects him to live up to those. So we're going to go with Matt Rowell breaking out as a star next season.
Next up, we'll go to the other expansion club, GWS, who of course have Jake Riccardi, who was a mature age draftee 1 or 2 years ago, sort of burst onto the scene as a high-flying key forward, really strong mark. I think he booted 9 goals across 5 games throughout 2020 in a year where GWS were kind of playing crap footy to begin with, but he really stood out as a really good young talent. One that surprised me because I think he was drafted quite late, but he clearly does have all the tools to make it at AFL level. Jeremy Cameron's obviously left the club, so he's got a good opportunity to cement himself in that forward line.
For Hawthorn, we've gone with Will Knight. Oh no, it's Will Day.
Oh.
I'm really bad. I'm not funny.
Will Day see the best of his form?
I think so.
I thought you were being serious at first. Will Knight. I was like, count his name's Will Day.
So he played 11 games in his first season and he got double-digit disposals in all. 8 of those he got 16 plus. For a first-year player, that's bloody top-notch. Classic Hawthorn. Good drafting. He's only 19 and he's a tall boy, 187 centimetres. He can be played pretty much in any position, half back, half forward, bloody wing, in the middle. He's a very good utility, and with Hawthorn sort of going through a rebuild, you can see him being one of the players to rise up through that.
Next up, we've got Melbourne's Luke Jackson, of course, taking pick 3 in the 2019 draft, if I'm not mistaken. He was obviously sort of drafted with a vision of being the heir apparent to Maxi Gawn, but in his first season, obviously a little bit raw. He just drawn as well. Obviously, he's a bit of a super athletic sort of ruck talent, but came into the league a little bit skinny, a little bit raw as well. So it was probably a bit hard for him to crack regular games in 2020. But obviously, Braden Pruce has now been traded to GWS. Maybe there's an opportunity now for Jackson to step up as a regular number 2 at Melbourne. And if that's the case, then he should start to shine and cement himself in that team.
With Wiedemann and Brown out for the start of the season as well, he could have a lot of forward minutes.
Good point.
So I had to apologise to his mum, hey.
Why?
I just said, sorry, Miss Jackson. Alright, we're on to the next one. Come on. Oh, that's so bad, eh?
Fucked.
For North Melbourne, and the only player on this list that has made this list 2 years in a row is Luke Davies Uniacke. Uniacke.
It's quite a Uniacke name.
So he had another season riddled with injuries. He played in 9 games, and in 4 of those he got more than 20 disposals in the shortened quarters as well. We just need him to have a good run of games, and he'll establish himself as probably the best midfielder at North Melbourne pretty quickly.
I agree, big fan. Next up, we've got Port Adelaide and a young, talented, another West Australian boy, Mitch Georgiades. He's a high-flying sort of middle height key forward. I think he was drafted at 191. Not sure what he's grown to, but either way, he's kind of like Gunston in the way that he sort of leaps up and takes some grab, even though he might not be the tallest in the contest. He's super athletic, super talented. In fact, I think they bolted on him in the 20s, or no, it might have even been pick 18, but he was tipped to go like sort of 30s and 40s. Right. I think long term, he's going to be an excellent player. I think he's played 7 games last year, and in his 3rd game, he kicked 3 goals too and looked at home. Fell out of the side as Port Adelaide made a serious finals push and obviously made a way to the prelim, but if he's given opportunity going forward, he will become a superstar.
With Charlie Dixon, taking a lot of the load, there's a lot of load in this.
Those are rumours.
But no, it'll free him up a lot. If they can keep Georgiades nuts in the side, it'll take a lot of the load off Dixon's shoulders. For Richmond, we've gone with Jack Ross. Now, this is a side where it's hard to break the team and shine because there's so many top level players in this side. Obviously, they're going for the 3-peat. They're not going to want to change too much up because if it's not broken, don't fix it. That's what Mum said about my heart. Wait, what? In every game that he played, he's got double-digit disposals. He got 28 touches against the D's. That's great numbers. That's elite-level numbers. If you're playing in any other side, getting 28 touches, you're going into the team every week. 14 games in 2 years, he'll be eager to get a game. We actually spoke about him in the Players Who Deserve More Games video. So, if he doesn't get onto the scene this year, maybe the season after, but, he's got the talent to play at the top level and be a good player. I ran out of adjectives there, man. Had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. A good player.
Next up, I've got the Saints, and there's a few to choose from at the Saints. I'm going to go with Nick Caulfield, though. He's kind of already established himself as a key member of that Saints backline, and he's a fantastic player, reads the play really well, uses the ball well. He's just a smooth mover. But I do think he has really, really high potential, and he could establish himself as an elite player going down the track. He could be even a future captain of the club. He's got those leadership capabilities as well. So I think given a good injury run, he could really sort of cement himself as a really, really important player and potentially a smoky for the All-Australian top 40.
Oh, big. Only 21, 5th in the best and fairest for St Kilda as well. So as you're saying, those leadership qualities will be a big part of the Saints team this year. For Sydney, we've gone with James Rowbottom. And boy, does he.
That was good. He's BT's nephew.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's a bit crazy.
I don't know. He is ginger. I am the James Robot.
What was that?
James Robot. It works.
Oh my god.
Feed me clearances. I need juice. Oh, you can tell it's been a while since we last did a video.
In a purple patch on Rowbottom's career so far, he had 7.5 clearances per game. He sort of fizzled out towards the end of the season due to being like, I don't know, not having a mature body in the AFL takes its toll. But if he can have a big pre-season, get his body ready, he could be a big part of that Sydney side.
Next up, we have my beloved West Coast Eagles, and it's hard to nominate a player that's going to establish themselves in the team.
Because they suck!
Get out of it. The one that comes to mind is Oscar Allen, but he's kind of already taken that step in 2020, and I think he will be a superstar long term. But I'm going to nominate someone who is out of the team at the moment, young Bailey Williams. The reason being, he's a really talented, athletic, young second ruck forward. I think there's an opportunity there to support Nick Nat. Pretty much now Tom Hickey's been traded to Sydney. They're going to be basically competing between Bailey Williams, Nathan Vardy, and then maybe Harry Edwards even further back. I think Williams is probably the most talented of that three, and I think if they give him the opportunity, by the end of the year, he could be pretty well known around the league.
The last team on the list is, of course, the Western Bulldogs, and we've gone with Latham Vandermeer. Now, I'll tell you one thing. Latham is a disgusting name. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. What's the worst name, Latham or Graham? I think Graham takes the cake, to be honest.
We should do that as a video of worst AFL player
that'd be
names.
so
If you want to see worst AFL player names, comment Jesse.
Yes.
So Vandermeer, very pacey player. We all know that. He played 14 games and then unfortunately got injured, but the impact that he had on the Bulldogs when he was in the side was clear.
Better late than never. Leave that in.
And I'll do the thing that I do every now and then where I bring up some random stats that no one really cares about. Ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Vandermeer was 5th among rising stars in total inside 50s in 2020, 2nd among rising stars in total marks inside 50 in 2020, 5th among rising stars in total metres gained in 2020, 3rd among rising stars in total goals in 2020, 5th among rising stars in total score involvements in 2020, and 4th among rising stars in marks inside 50 per game in 2020. And he only played 14 games, so quite impressive. Get a big run of games in him, and he will be a great forward in that side that needs some forward talent. That's going to do it for this video anyway. Yep, just another classic video between me and Jesse, so if you liked it, drop a like, drop a sub.
Need more sub to Drewzy.
Comment who you think will break out from your side. I want to see you in the comments. I will be replying to the comments, so get in there. Thanks for watching this video. Drop a like, drop a sub. See you in the next video, you plonkers.
Proud of you.